All right, last Wednesday. Um, this is December 5th, if we're still in fall. The big things that you're working on here are the author statement, getting them wrapped up on their web text, and some course assessment stuff. That's the first step of course assessment stuff. You can do all your course assessment stuff today if you really wanted to, but as it's set up, this is your less formal course assessment part, the part that's actually about the course, as opposed to being more about the teaching. So I'd suggest bringing some copies of the syllabus here to class. One thing they're going to be doing is they're going to be writing me a letter about the curriculum and what was good and what didn't work for them. So having something to reference so they can remember what happened in week 3, for instance, would be, I think, a big help here. The first thing that I have set up is a short workshop on the Project 7 author statement, this little portfolio essay that they're doing. It's the focus that I want to draw on here is how is writing defined? How is learning to write defined? What's the way they think about themselves as writers at this point? Perhaps they've grown more confident. Perhaps they've grown less confident. Perhaps they think they know more now than they did before. Perhaps they feel like the stuff they thought they knew, they don't know anymore. Lots of things can happen as they move through a writing class. So helping to really unpack the ways their perceptions have changed, the ways they define things now. Hopefully what we'll see is that they are integrating more of a understanding of genre, of medium, of rhetoric, of literacy, that these are the things that they're more aware of, more able to talk about now, that they see as more important. I think that there's a chance they might not. Of course, it'll be different from student to student, but that's really what we're aiming for here. So the questions that I have in the binder will get you part of the way there. You might come up with your own questions to put on top of that. I say 20 minutes, maybe longer, depending on how much they can do at this point, how long their drafts are, how much energy they have. But really get them to spend some time here, if not coming up with ways to change the drafts. Workshops don't always do that, but really examining what does writing mean in this statement. Not just did you have a good time in the class, but what does this author think? What's the ideology here underneath? So getting them to notice that as much as possible, I think, is the most productive thing you can do in this particular workshop. From there, you should talk. I have this lasting a bit of time, about the sort of final step of the workshop, or of the web text. So they created their web text on their own independent WordPress site, right? It wasn't built on your class website. It was built on some website that they set up. The way that they will turn it in for you to read for assessment is they will create a blog post on your WordPress site, the one for the whole class, and in that blog post they will have a brief abstract for their project and a link to their project on that other site. So essentially there will be, I don't know what, 12, 9, however many you got, abstracts with links for each of the projects. And you or any public viewer could go in and read them all and click on the ones they're interested in. It means that you can create for yourself a little page focused on the web texts. This will be another category that you're selecting out. So in your final class website, there should be a tab for about the author pages and one for web texts. If I didn't cover that before, then try to do it. If not, I'll go through and do them for everybody's anyway. That's Carly, still playing with the ball. So you want to just make sure that they know that that abstract that they're publishing their work with should have the category tag web text, understandably enough, I hope. You should go over a bit what that post should look like and what should be in that abstract. So the abstract is, what's your topic, what was your study, what did you do with it, what important conclusion did you come to, and probably, and this one isn't in the binder, how the web text is digitally interesting, if it is. So they're really trying to draw somebody to click on their project and to let them know what's going to be there. What's it about? What kind of research is it reporting? What kind of conclusions will I get out of it? And what's the experience going to be like as a user/reader? Really, 150 words is probably fine. It doesn't have to be very long, and in fact, length is a disadvantage on this final product. 200 words, absolute maximum, but I would not want to read anything longer than that for this particular piece. So I give you the format to follow there. Title, authors' names, abstract, the link to their project. That's it. You probably want to give them a little bit of time now to write that abstract. It could fit on both sides of an index card, probably, as long as they're getting to everything. But giving them time to actually just draft it out by hand, they can get it done. And then once they're ready to turn their thing in, they can put it there and turn it in. Last thing for you to do, I'd really love to get their perspective back on the curriculum overall. So this is not focused on the teaching, this is not focused on you as a teacher. They will get the chance to give some opinions about that stuff in the fill in the bubble eval next time. For this, what I'm really interested in is how it matches your expectations from an English 101, what work that you did you thought was good and valuable to you, you learned stuff from, what work that you did was not so valuable to you, you felt that it wasted your time, or you felt that it taught you things that weren't useful, and then ultimately what they felt they learned in the class, what they'll take away with them. I've written out some language in the binder, which you can read out if you want. You can give them those questions that are there just in bullet points on the board. It's up to you how you want to prompt it exactly. But one page, and Katie and I really will read them. So encourage them to be specific, so we know what we should work on. The homework for this time, they should turn in their author statement, probably by midnight tonight is how I have it, and they should post the final abstract of their web text with the link to their web text by the next class, by the time the next class starts, probably. One thing you might remind them is that even though they turn in their abstract to the site with that category web text, it doesn't mean they can't continue working on their web text on their own website. They can keep refining things, they can make sure that it's just as perfect as they want it to be, through till the weekend or whenever you set your absolute deadline of saying, I'm going to look at them this time. Until then, they can keep tweaking them all they want, and you'll never know the difference. They should remember to make their web text public before they give it to you, so that they can be sure that you can see it. So just make sure that that's happening. If you want to make double sure that's happening, you can change accounts or log out and try and click on their projects. That will or even just having another browser up, like if you're working in Chrome, have Safari up, just copy the link over. If you get to it on the other one, then it's public, and they're done with that part. But if not, then they need to go back and do that. Otherwise, we won't be able to use it for anything later to people who are not in your class, which is a flaw in how this stuff is supposed to work together. If they should be conferencing with you, and they should be putting together their self-assessment reports. We do want to collect those so that we can get a sense of how students are doing on individual projects and pacing and things like that. So please do remind them of that and collect those at conference time. That's about it. Going into the final day of class. Final day of class is going to be super light, but I will record a video for it anyway and talk a bit about the sort of final wrap-up stuff too.